Welcome to the Legislative Analyst Office two-part training program on mandates. In this first presentation, we provide an overview to the tricky question, what's a reimbursable mandate? Californians are served by many different governments: federal government, state government, cities, counties, special districts, schools, community college districts. Throughout the country, whenever multiple governments serve the same people, tensions can arise when one level of government gets to make the rules while another pays the bills. In California, if state government mandates that a local government provide a new program or higher level of service, our Constitution often, but not always, requires the state to provide reimbursement. Here's what the California Constitution says. Whenever the legislature or any state agency mandates a new program or higher level of service on any local government, the state shall provide a subvention of funds to reimburse that local government. The purpose of this reimbursement requirement is to give local governments some financial protection regarding new obligations imposed on them by the state. Voters added this requirement in 1979 by approving Proposition 4, in part because local governments' ability to raise money to pay for new state requirements had fallen significantly the year before. In 1978, voters approved Proposition 13, eliminating local authority to increase the general property tax and imposing voter approval requirements for all other local taxes. While Proposition 4's reimbursement requirement sounds straightforward, sorting out which requirements the state must reimburse and which local governments must pay for on their own is not always easy. Sometimes minor state requirements are considered state reimbursable mandates, and other times major requirements are not because they fall within one of the measure's exemptions. In addition, California uses the term reimbursable mandate somewhat differently than other states and the federal government. Overall, after learning about mandates, people often say that they find that the state's cost to reimburse local governments for mandates to be significant, but that the number of state measures found to be a reimbursable mandate is fewer than they initially expected, and fewer than the number of bills enacted with Legislative Council's tag on the bottom saying that the bill created a state-mandated local program. Because there's often confusion regarding the Legislative Council's digest opinion, let's talk about it for a moment. This slide shows Legislative Council bill digest for some legislation introduced in 1997. Following the requirements of law, Legislative Council provided its opinion as to whether this bill imposed a new program or a higher level of service on local government. That opinion is at the bottom of the digest. As you can see, Council thought this bill would impose a state-mandated local program. What does this designation mean, and how does it differ from saying that the bill would impose a reimbursable mandate? Well, a yes in this section means that Legislative Council thinks that the proposed legislation would require local government to implement a new program or a higher level of service. It doesn't mean, however, that Legislative Council necessarily thinks that the state must provide reimbursement for the requirement. As we'll discuss later in this presentation, the Constitution and statutes include a series of exceptions to the general reimbursement requirement.